What's up, guys? Welcome to episode number 13 of our Man United series that we've got going on. In the previous episode, if we get straight into it, in the previous episode we left you after the Newcastle game. After the Liverpool game. So we'll get straight into the fixtures. We'll go through these and we'll go into all the other aspects in a little bit more detail. So we beat Chelsea 3-1. Battered them at home at Old Trafford. Marco Reus, Wayne Rooney and Danny Welbeck scoring. We then smashed CSKA Moscow in the first group game of the Champions League 5-0. Kevin Volland getting a hat-trick, Januzaj and Zuma. We then beat Tottenham 1-0 at White Hart Lane, and it was Eric Lamela scoring against his old club to score the winner. We then drew 2-2 with Everton, and it was Lucas Moura and Volland scoring. We then beat Stoke 2-0 in the Premier League at Old Trafford. Eric Lamela and Danny Welbeck getting the goals. We then drew 0-0 with, I'm going to try and pronounce this, Kayserispor. A simple 0-0 in the group. A little bit of a shame because I think they're one of the weaker teams in the group. We then battered one of our rivals, Leeds, 5-1. Phil Jones, Marco Reus and Volland scoring twice, and then Quintero getting one as well. Then we had the Capital One Cup, and we got an unlucky draw in the third round where we had Chelsea, but we managed to beat them 3-0. And I imagine one of Mourinho's targets was to do okay in that league, in that cup. So beaten 3-0, Kevin Volland scoring twice and Lamela scoring as well. We then played Crystal Palace, and we beat them 3-0 in the Prem. Wayne Rooney scoring and Lucas Moura getting 2. Then we had Sociedad in the group in the Champions League again, so they're the 4 teams that we got. Marco Reus scored, Shinji Kagawa and Wayne Rooney. Then we had Southampton, beat them 3-0, Lamela, Quintero and Zuma getting 1 each. We then had the Capital One Cup 4th round. We played Shrewsbury and won 2-0, Marco van Ginkel scoring twice. Excuse me. Then we played QPR, beat them 2-1 away in the league. Goretzka, Quintero scoring, and then Sam Johnston scored an own goal. And look at this. Yeah, it's plain to see, and yeah, it's correct. We battered Sociedad 10-1 in the Champions League. Marco Reus scored, Goretzka scored, Quintero got 1, Kevin Volland got 4. Lamela got 2, and then Nathaniel Klein got 1. So we absolutely tore them a new one. And we continued this goal scoring threat that we have, where we scored 16 goals in 2 games, or 18 goals in 3 games if you want. And we beat Cardiff 6-0 at home at Old Trafford. Marco Reus scored, Goretzka got 1, Quintero got 1, Volland got 1, and Lamela got 2. We then, after a massively good run, look at that for a run, we then finally lost, where we lost to Liverpool 1-0 away at Anfield, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, I mean, for a run that long, it was always going to come. Basically, we were just going to lose at some point, and it had to be Liverpool, I suppose. We then returned to the Champions League, where we beat CSKA Moscow 2-0 in the group. Dorio got them both. Then we had Fulham, where we won 2-0 in the Premier League at Old Trafford. Lucas Moura scoring twice. Then Kayserispor, we beat them 4-0 this time, rather than the 0-0 ball draw that we had. Januzaj scoring, Van Ginkel, Volland and Moura, and then Kondogbia also got sent off. Then we lost to Man City, so we lost to our 2 rivals in the space of 5 games. We lost 1-0 to them. Then we battered Arsenal 4-0 in the Prem. Goretzka scored, Quintero got 1 and Lamela got 2. Then we had the Club World Cup, obviously, to play after winning the Champions League. We won 4-2 against Monterrey. Balanta scored, Marco Reus, Van Ginkel and Rooney all got 1 each. Then the Club One Championship final, where we played Sao Paulo, and we managed to beat them 1-0 successfully, and Lamela scored the winner. Then we had the Capital One Cup quarter-final, and after extra time we managed to beat Southampton 2-0. With quite a full and congested fixture list, it was a little bit frustrating to have to go to extra time. Zuma and Wayne Rooney scored. Then we played Huddersfield. We won 2-0. Balanta and Lamela scoring for us. Then we continued this awesome succession of games that we've been going through. Result-wise, we beat Hull 3-0. Van Ginkel, Wayne Rooney and an own goal. Then we beat Reading 2-0, Kagger and Volland. Then we had the semi-final of the Capital One Cup, the first leg at Old Trafford where we drew 1-1. Wayne Rooney scoring our goal. Then we played QPR in the FA Cup, first game in the FA Cup in the third round, beat them 2-0. Van Ginkel and Rooney scoring. Then we played Newcastle in the Prem. So we had a string here where we actually played them 4 times. Beat them 1-0 this time, Phil Jones scoring the winner. Then we beat Everton 3-2 in the Prem. We were 2-0 down and we come back to win 3-2 in the second half. Ward-Prowse, Rooney and Lamela scored. Then we played Newcastle for the 3rd time. Beat them 3-2 in the Capital One Cup semi-final in the second leg. So it finished, what would that be? 4-3 on aggregate. Lamela scoring twice for us. And then we battered them 4-1 in the FA Cup. Again, Newcastle in the 4th round, 4-1. Zuma getting 2, Kondogbia and Welbeck. Zuma is turning out to be a very good player, by the way. Norwich we then beat 3-1. Januzaj got a hat-trick. Then Stoke we beat 2-0. And Wayne Rooney and Lamela scored. Then we played our rivals Leeds, beat them 2-0. And it was Van Ginkel and Danny Welbeck on the score sheet. So this is how the league looks so far. The amount of goals we've scored is ridiculous in comparison to how we conceded. It's between us and Chelsea, really, goals-wise. We're 11 points clear after 23 games, which is absolutely unbelievable. Especially as we have only lost 2 games, and that was to Liverpool and to City. And then we drew against... Oh, who was it I just said? I want to say that it was Everton. Yeah, drew Everton, yeah, 2-2. 2-2, sorry. So goals-wise, we're tearing up over 2 goals a game. And we've only conceded 12, so it's really, really good. Transfer-wise in January, what's happened? Right, excuse me. So obviously you know what happened at the end of the season last season. So all that's happened really is we finally got some decent backup goalkeepers. We've only really had De Gea and Johnston, and Johnston was pretty poor. I mean, he scored an own goal, and I think that's pretty much all he's done. So yeah, we brought in Nicola Leali, bit of a wonder kid. He's 3.5-star potential. Basically, what I did is I saw Leali and I really liked him. I saw I could get him for reasonably cheap. He joined for 4.8 million, and I was absolutely buzzing with that. I was like, brilliant, we've got De Gea now, and then Leali is back up, great. Got him for really cheap as well. But then I saw that Maxim Gavaal's contract was coming up at the end of the season, and basically in Ukraine you can't approach to sign players, you have to just wait till the end of the season. Very much like if you're an English club and for English players you can't sign them to the end of the season. So I just inquired about how much it costs, and 2.7 million he cost me. And De Gea's 4.5-star potential, he's 4-star, and De Gea is currently 4-star, and at the moment Maxim Gaal is 3.5 stars, so he's got to be half a star all the time behind De Gea. So I managed to loan Leali out, which is strange because normally clubs don't take players on if they've just joined their parent club. Loaned him out to Leverkusen, where he's first team. He's obviously only just played, and he just joined, so he's only played 1 game. But one of them are going to be a money maker. I mean, Leali's worth 6 million, bought him for 4.8, but Maxim Gavaal's worth 13 million, and we bought him for 2.7. So got a little bit of a dilemma there to decide what we do with the two of them. But Gaal is slightly older as well, and he is also better. So Gaal is likely to maybe have a little bit of a moan about not playing, but we have got him on. I think his contract is as a backup. What we want status. Back up to the first team, so he can't complain too much because he agreed to the contract, but we'll have to wait and see. Outgoings wise, basically there's a likelihood we're going to need a little bit of a clear out. So we're starting off here. Basically all the players that joined us in January, sorry, no, joined us at the end of the season last season, wouldn't go out on loan straight away because, like I said, clubs tend to not go for them if they've just joined their parent club. So I waited on to until January to basically loan them out. So Casasola has gone back out on loan because he wasn't being played enough as at Schalke. He's gone to Hanover. Look at this, Florenzi for 37 million. I sold him to Juventus up front. Now he looks like a good player, but into comparison to what we've already got, he was our 5th or 6th best centre midfielder. Excuse me. So 37 million. I was buzzing. He was 3-star in comparison to the others, according to my assistant, and so I was over the moon with that. I just thought I'll just put him on the transfer list and see what they come back with. And I think Juventus originally offered 28 or something, and I said no, I want 40, and then we managed to negotiate, and it was 37 million up front. Ridiculous money. So I was buzzing. Robert Grimshaw went out on loan, so did this young man here, Robert van den Hoogenband. He is going to be amazing when he's older. Probably going to be our first team right back in probably the next 2 or 3 years. So one to watch out for. Robert van den Hoogenband, write that one down. Pierre-Emile Hojberg also went out on loan, so did Grimaldo. Cardozo also went out on loan. Giuliano, remember we signed him on a free from Dnipro. He has finally gone, and we sold him for 15.5 million, so a massive profit on him to Sao Paulo. So I was reasonably happy with that. I think it was 2.5 star according to assistant reports. So Johnny Hughes has gone out on loan, the regen. Michael Nuttall, again, there was a regen gone out on loan. Lucas Ocampos, who finally got out on loan. He's probably going to be a bit of a moneymaker, although he does look very good. So he's 4-star potential, so we'll see what happens to him. Stephen Colker, right, Stephen Colker, signed him, and he was poor. Within, I think it was 8 weeks, he wanted a new contract, and he just become then unhappy because I was refusing him to give him a new contract, because the contract he wanted me to pay him 100 grand a week. So I was like, nada. So he requested a transfer, so I did that, trying to sell him, but couldn't sell him in January, unfortunately, so I loaned him out. Obviously they're paying all of his wages. He has asked to be removed off the transfer list, and I have accepted it, yet I can't, it won't let me, so I don't really know what's happened. I want to sell him, ideally, for about 20 million. That is my sort of goal, so hopefully he does well at Reading, and puts in a little bit of a performance, because we signed him for 10.75, his value's 10, so I really want to make profit. And you probably spotted this one, Shinji Kagawa at 25 million. He just dramatically decreased. Van Ginkel was starting to look like a player, and Quintero, as you probably know, is unbelievable. So Kagawa, unfortunately, was starting to get pushed out, and before he could moan and bring the team morale down, I basically got two offers, one from Real Madrid and one from Shakhtar. I thought likely to meet Real Madrid later in the future than I am Shakhtar, so I rejected the Real Madrid bid and accepted the Shakhtar bid, and I offered him out for 30. Most clubs come back with about 20 million, but managed to meet him halfway, and it was 25 million up front, so I was quite happy with that. Dimitri Mitchell's also gone out on loan. He's pretty poor, probably look to get rid of him in the future. Obviously you know about Liali going out on loan, and then Sam Johnson's gone to one of our feeder clubs. Feeder club wise, our affiliates, still Birmingham and Wolves. I might try and get one more though, and I might eventually start to go abroad, and maybe hopefully at some point the board will allow me to pick people. So I'll go abroad and try and find the ones with the good youth systems and the good youth intakes, and try and snap up their best players basically. So yeah, that's all that's happened transfer window wise. Just in January alone, we've made what? So 37 million. What's that? 52 million. Roughly 77 million we've made in the January window, and we've spent what? 7? No, 8? Just under 8 million. So huge profits, which reflects here. The board also said that I can review my original sort of targets, which were to win the league. I said I'd win the league. Actually, the board said I have to win the league. They didn't opt me to do it. I had to pick to win the league, and that was it. That's my only option. But they asked me if I wanted to renegotiate it, and they just gave me more money. So I mean, if I upped it right to the end, we have 93 million to spend. And I haven't. I mean, if I go to the boardroom right now, oh, that's confidence. Apologies. If I go to the boardroom right now, and interact with the board, I can still ask for these. Look, I can still ask for transfer and wage budget. I'm not going to because I don't need to. But if it comes to a point where I can get an absolute worldie in for next to nothing, then, well, I say next to nothing for a sum, then I want more players in, because I think I'm going to have a clear out. So let's look at the team. As you can see, we've got a lot of 4.5 star potential players. That include Zuma, De Gea, Luke Shaw, Phil Jones, Januzaj, Balanta and Lamela. Lamela, although he's been 44 million, he's turned out to be a worldie of a buy. He scored 16 and 24 from the wing, 7.59 average rating, and look at his stats. Absolutely ridiculous. Excuse me. Moving forward, who else have we got in here? Januzaj started like a player as well, trying to get him, break him into the first team. Now he's in rotation with Royce, and I've actually started to play him on like behind the frontman because we had an injury problem with Quintero. He's just come back to fitness. I say fitness. Well, he's coming back to match fitness, but look at him. He's ridiculous. Who else do we have? Right, so yeah, Goretzka I'm happy with. Volland is still not hit his full potential. He's got 3-star current, 4-star potential. Clubs are bidding for him left, right and centre. Dortmund and Bayern both want him. I received a 39 million pound bid from Bayern for him. So, and he's just one of the players that I wanted all the time. Same with Januzaj, same with Kagawa actually for a while. Who else is always wanted? Lucas Romero's always wanted. I mean, he's not at the moment because of the transfer window's finished, but yeah, so I'm quite happy with Volland. Royce still not hit his potential, but he's only 4-star, and I thought Royce would continue to be one of our better players. But we'll see what happens to him in the future. But in sort of the near future, he's my first starter on the left. So Kondogbia has actually turned into being not a bad player. He's obviously still developing, but we'll look to progress him. Obviously, that's why he's the reason that I let Florenzi go. He's 2 years younger than him, and he's already at the same standard, the same level, and his potential to be better than Florenzi. So I was quite happy with that. Quintero's banging goals at only 3-star ability. Max Caval we know about. Van Ginkel, again another good player. 7 and 16, 7.44 average rating. Really happy with him. Ward-Prowse is in rotation to Goretzka, playing in against the lesser teams, and Goretzka will play against the bigger teams. It's very much what happens throughout the whole team. Dorio is not too bad at all. He's good cover. First team choice centre backs are Balanta and Jones at the moment, but Zuma is unreal. He scored 5 and 15 in his first season. Average rating is 7.55 to 22 years old. And I mean, look, he's 3-star at the moment. He's gonna be 4.5. So you can imagine how good he's gonna be. Probably potentially a future captain, but I suppose Phil Jones is still really young. He's 24. Phil Jones is very good as well. I say that Phil Jones has been performing little off. I mean, he's got 2 and 27. It's 7.19 average rating. So that's a bit of a concern, but I can't get rid of him. He's too good to get rid of. He's probably just having an off season. Lucas Romero, very good. Turned out to be a very good player. Who else have we got? Jonathan Silva. He's still only 2.5-star potential. He's my second choice really to Luke Shaw, but I do rotate them quite often. Gino Peruzzi, unbelievable, 7.47 average rating. He's a very good defender. I like him. Now the 3 players that I'm obviously unsure of. I've mentioned Rooney a number of times. His value's really coming down now. He's getting older. His star rating's really come down. He scored 13 goals and 16 appearances though, so he's still performing. But the thing is, that goal ratio doesn't sort of reflect on his average rating, which is really strange. And it's just, the thing is, he's one of them players that he's either amazing or he's rubbish. So he'll score like 2 or 3 in a game, and then he'll have like a 2 or 3 game span where he won't. It will be like a 5.9 rating, and he's so frustrating. So I look to get rid of him probably. Now Danny Welbeck I've got a bit of a dilemma with, because Danny Welbeck, he does score goals. He's got 5 in 9. I mean, realistically, he's not really good enough anymore. He's on a lot of money as well. 3-star, 26, so he's pushing towards the other end of his 20s. 18.75 million value. But if we go to the club and we go to our information, legends, Danny Welbeck, little bit of a concern. So I mean, if I sold him, I reckon the club will go, especially the fans, will go a little bit mental. I've never had this situation before, because normally a club legend is the best player in the team, and I don't really know. So any advice on that, I'm sort of welcome to it. Please put it down below. And the other one is Nathaniel Klein. He's in rotation with Peruzzi, playing against the lesser teams. He does perform though, 7.42 average rating. So if I can get his value up by the end of the season, I may let him go. Just because I think there's going to be other options, and his contract does expire next year. So that's something for me to think about. I've only just noticed that. So we'll see what I do there. Ideally, I'd want to bring this young man through. He's only a 1.5 stars. I'd like to bring him through as my second choice right back. Is that too soon? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Put it in the comment section. But yeah, other than that, so clear out. I'd say Wayne Rooney will probably. I mean, them 3 there are obviously, they're a little bit off the pace, I suppose. I say off the pace, they're declining. That's probably a better way of putting it in comparison to the others. I have found. Well, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 5 names. I'm not going to name them. I won't spoil the surprise. Bearing in mind how much money we have, I've got I think 4 or 5 names in mind, and depending whether I get them, some players may either be loaned out to be made money on, or whatnot. But I won't go into who we're going for. Player-wise that we've got out on loan, as you can see, we have a lot of players out on loan. That's our under-18s. This is our under-21s. So a lot of money makers in here. Excuse me. These sort of players down this spectrum I'll probably look to let go soon. Will Keane, Ben Pearson, Colker, Tom Thorpe probably maybe one more season out on loan. Johnston I'd like to get rid of. Wilson, Mitchell probably go. But yeah, some of these players here that have got pretty poor potential and they're not far off it already, I'll probably look to let go. Up the other end of the spectrum, Gabriel Barbosa, absolute beast. If Rooney goes, we're probably going to, and Welbeck maybe, don't really know. And we're really going to have Volland as an option up front. So we've got Barbosa to come through. Same with Vieto. He looks like a very good player. So the 2 of them are very good options for us in the future if we don't spend. Angelo Henriquez will continue to increase. He's still only 2-star, 4-star potential. So he's got a lot of boots. He's got boots to fill. Zivkovic and where is he? Got Zivkovic and Alione, both 4-star potential right wingers. So we've got them to think about. So we've got a lot of players to choose from. Batshuayi, he was very cheap for us with his release clause. So there's a lot to look at. Humam Tariq, look at that. Signed him for how much did we sign him for? 3.1 million. So we'll see what happens to him. His value's already 10. One player that I'm definitely going to sell because he drives me nuts is this guy here. Love him in real life. In the game, to be honest with you, I'm surprised I'm looking at him not being injured. His injured 24/7. Look, this is since the start of the game. 2 months, 2 weeks, 3 months, 11 days, 11 days, 9 days, 3 days, 3 weeks, 10 days, 10 days, 4 weeks. Oh, he just... I don't know what I'll do with him. Hopefully his value will continue to increase while he's at Tottenham. Pugliese, who I mentioned at the very beginning of the series, is starting to look like a player now. So hopefully I'll think about trying to break him in soon. So there's a lot of players there. But any advice on what you think I should do? Obviously we're going to be very, very limited up front with the Rooney-Welbeck situation. We'll only have Volland really that can play there. So yeah, any recommendations, let me know. What else has happened in January? Oh yes, facilities. If we go back to the boardroom, we have training facilities and new facilities being made. They are due to finish in October, on the 11th of October this year. So I'm quite happy with that. They accepted to increase them both. Money-wise, we have a lot, right up to 93 million. What else did I want to show you? We have a couple of new staff that came in. So we had some physios came in. I noticed that. Oh, sorry, no, we don't. There's currently some staff coming in. I won't spoil who they are. As you can see, we've got one physio and one head physio, which was quite noticeable, and nothing in the under 18s at all either. So that was something that I've looked at. Money wise, in the last episode I mentioned about the debt. Our debt is paid. We officially have a Manchester United free of debt, I should say. We have no debt whatsoever. And we were paying off quite a lot, to be honest with you. I think it was like 10 to 15 million a month at least. So obviously our projected balance will continue to grow, but our transfer budget is ridiculous anyway, and I've got a lot of players to get rid of. But yeah, a couple of big names hopefully going to come in at the end of the season. I did try to go through for them at the beginning of the season. Well, sorry, in this January window, but it's quite tough to get them sort of players from the bigger clubs. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, and hopefully their value won't be too high. But fingers crossed. We've got some good targets to think about. Any advice, please let me know. Feel free to put it in the comment section below. That's all that's pretty much happened since I last updated you. Next update will be at the end of the season. Hopefully we've got some finals to play at the end of the season, which again I'll play live. I hope you're enjoying this series still. Obviously we've got a pretty good team. The next episode should be quite good, hopefully, if we get some of the big names that I'm going for. But yeah, I mean, we are covered. We're quite thin actually. It's not a massive first team, but some of the money that I was offered for some of the players that I have or had was irresistible. So thanks for watching this episode, and hopefully I'll continue to see you guys in the next episode. If you're a new subscriber, thanks very much for subscribing. If you're an old subscriber, thanks very much for staying loyal and staying with me. I'll continue to enjoy this as long as you guys are enjoying it. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. So thanks very much, and I'll see you soon.